Started.
Sure. So I'm Amanda Healy. I've been blowing up the Twitter sphere, so you probably recognize me on there. But I work for Tibco Software. I run demand generation for our enterprise line of the business. I focus specifically on cloud. I also speak across the country on social media, specifically social selling. I work with a lot of our internal sales teams as well as other companies' sales teams to really identify what are the nuances of social selling and how does it differ from traditional selling. So please live tweet me as we're going through the session. We already took a couple questions to add to the session, so continue to do so. I'm at Amanda_Healy. I would actually say that social selling is kind of like the concept of micro-marketing. So when I work with my sales teams and I work with sales teams across other organizations, I think of micro-marketing as basically being a marketing department of one. So regardless of the fact that you fulfill a sales function, you need to be constantly marketing not only your company, but yourself as a personal brand. So social selling for me is understanding your personal brand and using situational fluency, meaning looking at a situation, digital or not, and understanding where best to insert yourself. I think that's the biggest difference between social selling and traditional sales, is taking that soft sell approach by looking at the situation and acting appropriately. I can start. So I think marketing has a far more strong of an awareness play than traditional, or I should say social selling. So marketing has kind of that push out mentality, or at least more traditional marketing has. For social selling, it's really about inbound. It's about becoming a thought leader in your space and bringing those prospects to you by being in a thought leadership kind of role. So that's just my initial thought. I'm not sure if you guys agree or not.
Absolutely, if I can echo that.
Inside.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I actually have worked for a number of tech companies. I started out at Computer Associates, CA Technologies, 14,000 employees, went over to Akamai that has about 7,000, Tibco has about 5,000. In each and every tech company I have been in, they've actually been kind of dinosaur-esque in adopting social, very slow to adopt, very risk averse. And so we've had to start very, very organically. I've also always been the social evangelist in each of these companies. And when it came to Tibco, it started really from the roots up. Social was not my function at Tibco. I was identified as that evangelist. And so we started small. We started by running these local boot camps with our sales teams to really get them up to speed, mostly on personal branding and not taking that hard sell approach. So how do you position yourself in the digital kind of atmosphere? Because oftentimes in 2016 and definitely and beyond, your first impression is going to be a digital one. So being able to get in and teach this concept of personal branding and being able to add value as a salesperson rather than take a hard sales approach. I think it all starts with that organic level of training and getting in early to shape the outcome, so to speak, of your sales teams.
Thank you.
The other thing that you have to keep in mind when speaking with sales in particular is it's always going to be what's in it for me. That is the mentality of sales, and at the end of the day, you need to remember that. So a big kind of, to add to your point, a big thing that I hear often in addition to being scared is I don't have the time to do that. These guys are super busy, these gals are super busy. To add to your point, we use tools. We use employee advocacy platforms because that takes all of those kind of adverts out of their arguments. So it makes it scalable, it makes it less time consuming. So I think making it social media for dummies type of thing, and I don't mean that in a condescending way. These people really just don't have the time. So taking that argument out of what they're about to rebuttal with really makes your program successful.
Yeah, and
I would agree. I would also add, when it comes to what does a social seller look like, I think they look like you or I. I think that anyone in your organization has the ability to influence a sale. And what it comes down to is people want to buy from people that are like them, people that they would consider a friend or a trusted advisor. So I think when we're looking at social selling, that's what you should be trying to convey, not the image of a salesperson, but the image of a trusted advisor. And how do you become that? Again, through publishing content that is thought leadership content, by becoming an area of expertise in your particular industry. So I think we've heard it time and time again, and all throughout today, people have used the term authentic. I don't want that to become a buzzword, so I'm just going to use the term real talk. You want to buy from someone that's real. Buy from someone that's going to tell you exactly what you're getting, what the benefits are in terms of the business benefits, and someone that knows what they're talking about. So again, thought leadership content. I really like Easter eggs. So this is a brilliant Easter egg that I've seen a couple times with people putting Easter eggs into their email signatures so that if someone is reading an email from them, they come across it and maybe it takes them to a funny GIF/GIF. I'm saying both because I've seen on Twitter all of the peanut butter memes going around. And other than that, I have another story too that isn't necessarily sales focused, but it just comes down to the fact that you can use social selling whether you're in a sales function or not. I had a friend who had recently been laid off, and she took to LinkedIn and for the very first time used the blogging platform that's built into LinkedIn and wrote her first blog ever, not only just a LinkedIn specific one, that said, I think 5 things I learned from being laid off. And within minutes of publishing this blog post, not only did she have hundreds of comments, because LinkedIn obviously serves up the post to their content network, she also had recruiters commenting and asking her when she would be available to take a phone call. So I think, just thinking outside the box when it comes to these tools and how you can leverage them, something like that email signature, that just adds another dimension to who you are and gets your tone of voice, your personal brand across.
I like that. Thanks is a showstopper.
Thanks.
I mean,
for the
look at
follow-up.
the canned message that you get on LinkedIn. Hi, so-and-so, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network. Huge missed opportunity. You could be pulling some of the best invitations to connect I've received have said something like, hey, listen to your podcast on XYZ, really found, specific example, really helpful. And drawing in things that make it relevant, customized, personalized, all the things that good marketers and good sales people do, but bringing it into the digital sphere, that's how you differentiate. So great point.
Exactly.
Sure, so I can start since I already mentioned employee advocacy programs. So that is definitely my biggest hurdle when trying to roll out large-scale social evangelism within a B2B company specifically. So I've used GagaLamp in the past. I definitely have no qualms about GagaLamp. It's a fine tool. TIBCO now uses PostBeyond. I do actually think that PostBeyond is a better tool. I think it has much more advanced analytics. I think it's got a great visual interface. It's very, very simple to use. So I think having some kind of platform in place, and obviously at smaller organizations, maybe having a free tool or a freemium tool, but taking that legwork out of social will make all the difference when it comes to adoption. I've found that the C-suite, in my experience, has actually required the most hand-holding of, I'd say, the majority of the folks that I've worked with. So what I've would recommend is actually having hands-on training with each member of the C-suite to first identify what channels do you want to be on, aka who is your audience and where do they live, because the C-suite is going to be extremely busy. You're not going to want to be on every channel at once. For example, it probably doesn't make sense for you to be on Snapchat, but maybe it does make sense for you to be on Instagram. So where does your audience live? What is your time commitment that you're willing to dedicate to this? What's your tone of voice? Again, your personal brand. How do we communicate that through your various channels? And what also works really well is when they have an admin that's super socially either connected or well-versed or even just eager. So I've worked very, very closely with their admins because those admins are essentially their eyes and ears on the street. They often are traveling with them. Say if a member of the C-suite is speaking at an event, they can be taking photos for me. They can be periscoping. So I think taking a very hands-on approach, and then to your point, I love the idea of repurposing that C-suite content to make it more amenable to other members of your organization. I think that's a brilliant way to get a lot of content and a lot of high quality content out to the masses. Yeah, I think baby steps into social selling is that concept of personal branding because it's widely applicable. It applies to each and every employee at your organization. And I think the way I always think about it, for better or worse, each of us is a product. So if we're looking at our LinkedIn profiles, we are a product. That image that you have on there, that's your logo. Whether it's your same Twitter photo, it's your avatar on Gmail, etc. So remembering that even if you're not outright selling for your company, you are selling yourself as a product, as an adding value to your industry, etc. And you're also a brand advocate. So I think the way I would pitch it to a company that might be a bit adverse, maybe it's an industry that's a little bit more tight-lipped, like financial services or legal, getting down to that awareness component, that thought leadership component, and that personal branding component.